The third of Newton's laws is called the law of reaction. And the law of reaction says that for every force there's an equal and opposite force. This is where we get something we call action-reaction pairs. And these exist for any force. That any time you have a force, an action force, then you will also have a reaction force. And that should sort of blow your mind just a little bit, that if you imagine any force, there will also be another force. And I can give you some examples of action-reaction pairs. A great example is if I have an object that has some weight to it, which is any object with mass. If it has a weight to it, that force weight has a reaction force that is something that we call the normal force. And we'll get into this in the next page. But the normal force is the surface pushing back on that. Or if I have a force with say somebody tugging on it with a rope, then there will be an opposite force going in the opposite. I have one force in this direction and another force in that direction. If I have a force in any direction, I have an equal and opposite force. And then also I can have these action-reaction pairs without touching. Good example is the Earth and the Moon, or really any force that acts over a distance. We call these field forces. We'll get into these a little later, but field forces are forces that act over a distance. So here, the Earth pulls on the Moon with a certain force, and then the Moon pulls back with an equal but opposite force. We're inclined to think that if I have a large object, that it exerts a larger force on the smaller object. But in fact, Newton's third law says that if you have a large object exerting a force, then the small object is exerting an equal but opposite force. Like, for example, if I have a truck that runs into a little fly, there's my little fly, the truck exerts a force on the fly, and the fly exerts the same force on the truck. I'm going to show you a video, I'll have a link to it, where a YouTuber, Derek Mueller, gives the three laws incorrectly. And as you watch that video, I want you to think about how you think about the world, because you probably do think about the motion of objects incorrectly. And he poses three laws that are sort of normal ways that people think about the motion of objects. Again, Newton's laws were paradigm shifting in the world. They shifted the way that people think about the physical world. But unfortunately, people today still are sort of captured in that Aristotelian view of motion, and Newton's laws is a great way to reveal that error.